My girlfriend told me she loves me but is not in love with me anymore. I did not know our relationship was ending until she started calling it comfortable. 3 weeks later, she told me she was not in love, and I realized comfort was just code for convenience. I am Jude, 30 years old, and I have been with Lena for 4 years. We moved in together 2 years ago after she finished grad school. Things were good, or at least I thought they were. We had our routines. I made coffee every morning while she got ready for work. We took turns cooking dinner. We watched shows together on the couch every night. On weekends, we hiked or went to farmers markets, or just stayed in bed late. It felt like building something real. But around 3 months ago, things started shifting. Small things at first. Lena began thanking me differently. When I cleaned the apartment on Saturday mornings like I always did, she started saying things like, "You are such a good roommate," not boyfriend. Roommate, I noticed she stopped saying love you back. Instead, it became "you are the best" or "thanks, babe." Little replacements that felt off but not alarming enough to confront. Then came our anniversary planning. 4 years together felt significant, so I suggested we do something special. Maybe that bed and breakfast in the mountains she had mentioned wanting to visit. She looked at me with this strange expression, halfway between guilt and relief, and said, "Let's keep it low-key this year. I want to focus on myself more." I asked what she meant by that, and she just smiled and said she was working on personal growth. I did not push it. The distance kept creeping in. She started going to yoga classes that ran late. She went out with coworkers more often, coming home smelling like wine and apologizing for losing track of time. She was always on her phone, texting people I did not know, angling the screen away when I walked past. When I asked about her day, her answers got shorter. Work was fine, class was good. Nothing specific, nothing that invited me in. I felt like I was watching her through glass, seeing her but not reaching her. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she just needed space to process whatever she was going through. I gave her that space. Maybe that was my mistake. One Sunday morning, I was fixing the sink in our bathroom. The garbage disposal had been making a grinding noise all week, and I finally had time to look at it. Lena came in and leaned against the doorframe, watching me work. Then she said, "Can I tell you something without you getting upset?" I looked up at her. Water was dripping from the pipe I was holding. I said sure and waited. She did not wait for me to put down my tools or stand up. She just started talking. "You are my favorite person," she said, "but I do not think I am in love with you anymore. I feel like I am living with my best friend, not my boyfriend." I remember the way the words landed. Not sharp, not loud, just heavy. I wiped my hands on the towel hanging from the counter, nodded, and said that actually explains a lot. She looked surprised, like she had been bracing for a fight. "What do you mean?" she asked. I stood up and walked past her to my desk in the corner of the living room. I opened my laptop and pulled up my email. There was a confirmation for a cabin rental I had booked 2 weeks earlier, the same weekend I had been planning to propose. I had imagined how it would go. We would hike up to the overlook at sunset. I would tell her how much she meant to me, how I could not imagine my life without her. I would get down on one knee and ask her to marry me. The ring was not in my car or hidden in some clever spot. It was in the kitchen drawer under the cutlery tray next to the bottle opener. I had put it there a month ago when I started noticing the distance. Like some part of me already knew, I canceled the reservation right there while she stood in the hallway. Then I walked to the kitchen, opened the drawer, and took out the ring box. I looked at it for a second, then put it back and closed the drawer. The sound of it sliding shut felt final, like closing the door on the version of me that kept trying to earn her love. Lena asked what I was doing. I told her I was just adjusting expectations. She looked confused, maybe even a little hurt, but I did not explain further. There was no drama, no yelling, no tears, just the quiet realization that I had been living in a relationship that had already ended weeks ago. Later that week, Lena was on the phone with one of her friends. I was in the other room, folding laundry, and I could hear her through the open door. She had the call on speaker while she was doing her nails. Her friend asked how I took the news. "He took it so well," Lena said. "It is kind of crazy. I thought he would cry or something." Her friend laughed. "Maybe he never loved you that much to begin with." Lena laughed too. It was this awkward, nervous kind of laugh. The kind you make when you are not sure if something is funny or insulting. I heard it, and something inside me just clicked off. Whatever attachment I still had, whatever hope I was holding on to that maybe we could fix things, it disappeared in that moment. I finished folding the laundry and started making changes, not loud ones, not dramatic ones, just practical ones. That night, I stopped making coffee for both of us in the morning. I made 1 cup, for me. When she asked where hers was the next day, I said I figured she could make her own since we were just roommates now. She looked annoyed but did not argue. Over the next few days, I went through our shared expenses and created a spreadsheet. I split everything down the middle: rent, utilities, internet, groceries. I canceled the subscriptions we shared: streaming services, meal kits, the joint gym membership. I sent her the breakdown and told her we should each handle our own accounts moving forward. She called me petty. I told her I was just being accurate. Update 1: thank you to everyone who commented. I did not expect this to get so much attention. A lot of you told me to leave immediately, and I understand why you think that. But it is not that simple. We have a lease until March, and breaking it early would cost both of us thousands of dollars. Neither of us can afford right now. So I am staying. But on my terms. Since I posted, things have continued to shift. I reorganized the apartment to make it clear we are living separate lives. I moved my clothes out of our shared closet and into the guest room. I took my books off the shared shelf and put them in my space. I even rearranged the living room, so the couch faces a different direction. Lena noticed immediately. "Why are you acting weird?" she asked one night. "I am not acting weird," I said. "I am just treating us the way you described. Best friends who live together." She stared at me for a long time, then said I was being petty. I did not respond. There was nothing to say. She made her choice. I am making mine. A few days after I posted, Lena's sister Tess stopped by. Tess and I have always gotten along. She is 3 years older than Lena, more grounded, less focused on appearances. She brought over some boxes. Lena had left at their parents' house and stayed for coffee. We sat at the kitchen table, and Tess asked how I was holding up. I told her I was fine, just adjusting. She looked at me with this expression I could not quite read, somewhere between sympathy and guilt. "Can I tell you something?" she said, off the record. I nodded. "Lena found the ring," Tess said. "Months ago, she was looking for batteries in the kitchen drawer and saw the box. She opened it. She panicked. I felt my stomach drop." "How long ago?" "Around Christmas," Tess said. "She called me freaking out, saying she did not know what to do. She was not ready to get married, but she did not want to lose you either. So she decided to have that conversation before you could ask. It was not honesty. It was damage control." I sat there processing that. The timeline made sense now. The distance started right after the holidays. The weird comments about focusing on herself, the way she seemed relieved when I did not fight her on it. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because you deserve to know," Tess said. "And because I think she is handling this horribly. She does not get to have it both ways." I thanked Tess for telling me. After she left, I sat in the kitchen for a long time, staring at the drawer where the ring was hidden. I thought about all the times Lena had asked me what I was thinking, and I had said nothing because I did not want to seem needy or insecure. I thought about all the effort I put into making her happy and how somewhere along the way it stopped being about us and became about keeping her comfortable. That night, I took the ring box out of the drawer. I did not open it. I just looked at it, then put it in my desk drawer instead, out of her space into mine. Lena's birthday was coming up the following week every year. I planned something special. 2 years ago, I organized a surprise dinner with all her friends at her favorite restaurant. Last year, I took her to a concert she had been talking about for months. This year, I decided to do something different. I bought her a candle. Just a simple candle from the store down the street. I put it in a gift bag with a handwritten card that said, "Hope this year brings you clarity." On her birthday morning, she came into the kitchen where I was making breakfast. Just for me. She looked at the single plate on the counter and asked if I was making her anything. I said I figured she could make her own. She looked hurt, but I kept my face neutral. Later that day, she opened the gift I left on the table. She stared at the candle for a long time, then read the card. When she looked up, her eyes were wet. "This is it," she said. "This is all I get." I told her it seemed appropriate given the circumstances. She called me cruel. I told her I was just being honest. Since I was not planning anything, Lena decided to organize her own birthday party. She invited a bunch of her friends over to the apartment that Saturday night. I stayed because it is my apartment too, but I kept to myself. I sat in the corner with a drink and watched everyone celebrate. Around midnight, when everyone was drunk and loud, one of her friends, a girl named Maya who I had never liked, said something that cut through the noise. "You totally told us you were scared he was going to propose," Maya said, laughing. "Remember? You were like freaking out about it." The room went quiet. I looked up from my drink. Lena's face went pale. She tried to laugh it off, saying Maya was drunk and confused. But Maya kept going, oblivious. "No, I remember," Maya said. "You said you found the ring and did not know how to tell him you were not ready. Oh my God, that was so stressful for you." I finished my drink, stood up, and walked to my room. I heard Lena calling after me, but I did not turn around. I had the confirmation I needed. Not that I did not already know, but hearing it out loud in front of all her friends was different. The next morning, I woke up to notifications on my phone. Lena had posted something on Instagram the night before, after I went to bed. It was a photo of her blowing out candles with a caption that said, "Sometimes love changes form, and that is okay." With a stars emoji, the comments section was chaos. People who knew us were asking what happened. Some were asking if we broke up. One person commented, "Wait, were you not living with your fiancé?" Another said, "This feels like a subpost. Are you okay?" By noon, she had deleted it. But the damage was done. Her carefully curated image of the mature, emotionally intelligent woman navigating a conscious uncoupling had cracked. People saw through it. Tess texted me later that day. Lena called her crying, saying she did not know why I was being so cold. Tess told me, she said, "You broke his heart before he even asked the question. What did you expect?" I did not respond to Tess. I did not need to. She already understood. Update 2: after the Instagram incident, Lena tried to act like nothing happened. She went back to her normal routine. Yoga classes, brunches with friends, acting like we were still the amicable roommates she had framed us as. But the cracks were showing. Her friends started distancing themselves. Some of them reached out to me privately, saying they had no idea she had been so cold about the whole thing. A few even apologized for taking her side initially. I kept my distance. I worked from home most days, so I stayed in my room with the door closed. When we crossed paths in the apartment, I was polite but brief. I did not engage in small talk. I did not ask about her day. I treated her exactly like a roommate I barely knew. She hated it. I could tell by the way she started finding excuses to be in the same room as me. She would sit on the couch when I was watching television, even though she had her own television in her room now. She would cook dinner and offer me some, even though I always declined. She was trying to get a reaction, any reaction, but I did not give her one. Then she got sick. It was just a bad cold, nothing serious. But she texted me from her room asking if I could pick up some medicine from the pharmacy. I was working at my desk when the message came through. I read it, then replied, "DoorDash delivers faster than I do, feel better soon." She did not respond. An hour later, I heard her on the phone with someone, probably her mom, complaining about how cold I had become. I put on my headphones and kept working. A few days later, Tess came by again. This time, she did not stay for coffee. She went straight to Lena's room and closed the door. I could hear them arguing through the walls. Tess's voice was sharp, cutting. She was not holding back. When Tess came out, she looked at me and shook her head. I asked if everything was okay. She said Lena finally admitted the truth to her. The whole truth. "She told me she did not want to marry you," Tess said. "But she did not want to lose you either. She wanted to keep you around without the commitment. She thought she could have it both ways." I nodded. That tracked with everything I had observed. Tess looked like she wanted to say more, but she just sighed and left. That night, Lena tried to talk to me. She came out of her room while I was making dinner and stood in the doorway of the kitchen. I could feel her watching me, but I did not look up. "Can we talk?" she said. I kept chopping vegetables. "About what?" "About us. About everything." I finally looked at her. "There is no us," I said. "You made that clear months ago." She started crying. I did not expect that. She said she had made a mistake, that she had been scared and confused, that she did not realize what she was giving up until it was gone. She said she still loved me. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "But you do not love me the way I loved you," I said. "You love the idea of me. You love having someone who cooks dinner and fixes things and makes your life easier. But you do not love me enough to commit. You do not love me enough to stay." I put down the knife and turned to face her. "You do not love me," I said. "You love the idea of having someone who takes care of you without demanding anything back. You love comfort. You do not love me." She tried to argue, but I held up my hand. "I am done, Lena. I am not angry. I am not hurt. I am just done. You wanted to focus on yourself, so go focus on yourself." She left the kitchen. I heard her door close, and then I heard her crying through the walls. I went back to making dinner. A week later, I told her I was ending the lease early. Yes, it would cost money. Yes, it would be inconvenient. But I had saved enough, and I was ready to move on. I had already started looking at places. I found a small house outside Portland. Nothing fancy. Just a 2-bedroom with a yard and a garage I could turn into a workspace. When I told Lena, she panicked. She could not afford the apartment on her own, and she did not have anywhere else to go on short notice. I told her she had 2 months to figure it out, which was more than fair. She accused me of abandoning her. I reminded her that she was the one who ended the relationship, not me. The day I signed the lease on the new house, I started packing. I took my time, boxing up my books and clothes and kitchen supplies. I left her the couch because I never liked it anyway. I left her the television in the living room because I had already bought a new one for the new place. I labeled the boxes parting gifts in my head, but I did not tell her that. On my last day in the apartment, Lena tried one more time. She asked if we could at least stay friends. I looked at her and said, "Comfort was never the problem. You just confused love with maintenance." She did not have a response to that. I loaded the last box into my car and left. Final update: the house outside Portland has been everything I needed. It is quiet out here, away from the noise of the city. I have a small yard where I started growing tomatoes and herbs. The garage has been converted into a workspace where I do my freelance design work. I wake up early, make coffee just for myself, and spend my mornings working on projects I actually care about. It feels like I got my life back. I have not spoken to Lena since I moved out. I blocked her number and her social media. I did not do it out of anger. I did it because I needed a clean break. Through mutual friends, I heard she had to move back in with her parents. Apparently, she tried to find a roommate to take over my half of the lease, but it did not work out. She also started some kind of podcast about emotional growth and relationships, which feels ironic given everything that happened. From what I understand, it is not going well. She is struggling to pay her bills and keeps asking her parents for money. I do not feel vindictive about any of this. I do not take pleasure in her struggles. I just feel nothing. That is the strangest part. For months, I thought I would be angry or hurt or something. But when I think about her now, I just feel neutral, like she was a chapter in my life that is over, and I have moved on to the next one. Tess and I still talk occasionally. She apologized on behalf of her family for how everything went down. I told her she did not need to apologize for someone else's choices. She told me Lena asks about me sometimes, wondering how I am doing. Tess does not tell her anything. She said Lena made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. A few months ago, I met someone new. Her name is Harper, and she is a civil engineer. We met on a hiking trail near my house. I was out early one Saturday morning trying to clear my head, and she was sitting on a bench at the trailhead, adjusting her boots. We started talking about the trail, then about work, then about life in general. She mentioned she had recently gotten out of a long relationship that had felt more like a habit than a partnership. I told her I understood that feeling. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee after the hike. I said yes. We have been seeing each other for a few months now. It is different with Harper. She is direct. She says what she means. She says she is not interested in time games. I can see it in the way she acts. She is not looking for someone to maintain her life. She is looking for someone to build a life with. There is no guessing with her, no reading between lines, no wondering if she means what she says. It is refreshing in a way I did not know I needed. Last week, we were sitting on my porch after dinner, watching the sun set over the trees. She turned to me and said something that stuck with me. "I do not do almost," she said. "Either it is something, or it is nothing. I do not have the energy for in-between anymore. I smiled. Same, I said, and I meant it. I spent 4 years in a relationship that felt like it was always on the edge of becoming something real, but never quite got there. I am not doing that again. I am not interested in comfortable. I am not interested in convenient. I am only interested in real. Looking back, I think the hardest part of the whole thing with Lena was not the breakup itself. It was realizing how much of myself I had given up trying to make her happy. I had stopped doing things I enjoyed because she was not interested. I had stopped seeing friends because she did not like them. I had stopped making plans because I was always waiting to see what she wanted to do first. I turned myself into a support system instead of a partner. I am not doing that anymore. With Harper, I am still myself. I still go hiking on Saturday mornings. I still work on my design projects late into the night when inspiration hits. I still see my friends, and Harper does the same. She has her own life, her own interests, her own goals. We come together because we want to, not because we need to. That is what I learned from all of this. Love should not feel like maintenance. It should not feel like work in the sense that you are constantly trying to prove your worth or keep someone interested. It should feel like two people choosing each other every day, not because it is comfortable or convenient, but because it is real. I do not know if Harper is the person I will spend the rest of my life with. It is still early, but I know this feels different. This feels right, and that is enough for now.